Hi, everybody. Welcome. I am Michelle Solis. I am from Thismustbeink. I am an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Seekonk, Massachusetts. This is my Stamp and Flip Onesheetwonder workshop. So this is where we take a 12 by 12 piece of designer series paper and we cut it in half. And we will cut the first half with the template and make cards, and then we cut the other half with the same template and make cards with the flip side of the paper. So the template for tonight, this is episode 19. The template for tonight can be found on my Crafty Kraken page. Up at the top of the page, it says Files, and you should be able to find all the Onesheetwonder templates and the sample cards in there. I think I've been doing this for more than a year. I can't believe that. It doesn't seem like it's been so long, but this is episode 19. So welcome. Okay, so I am going to show you some of the sample cards that I did, which I showed on online, but I'm going to show them to you and talk about them, and then we will get started with cutting the paper and making some cards tonight. All right, so I'm going to turn the camera around. Let me bring this, and let me turn this around. There we go. All right, that's not right. This is better. There we go. And let's get a little more light. Okay, I think that should be good. All right, so this is the template, and then these are the sample cards that I showed you online. So this particular card was created with the A and B piece. So what I did with that is I just mounted this on a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inch piece of cardstock, and then the GSP opens like this, and then you've got your sentiment piece inside, and then the B piece is going here. So that's what I did with the A and B pieces. And then this one shows one of the 3 by 3 C pieces just mounted on a little mat here, and I pulled out my playful alphabet dies. Now these are retired alphabet dies, but Stampin' Up! Does have a couple of alphabet sets currently. If you don't have a set of alphabet dies, you should think about getting them because you can make your own sentiments and put whatever you'd like on the front of your card. Okay, so my second C piece, this again is with another map, but instead of being square, it's a little bit long. And then I did the alphabet here, and then I just stamped just because underneath that. For the stamps, I pulled out the product of the month from January, the Fabulous Sayings set, which just has some really great sentiments for use on all kinds of cards throughout the year. So I thought this would be a good one to use for a Onesheetwonder. So that's where the Just Because came from. And then the last one is using the D and E piece. I matted that up, and then I matted the E piece and put it across the front of the card there. Okay, so that was the 4 cards with the front side of the paper. This paper is called, what is it called? It's called Striped and Dotted. It was 4 different colors, and it's got polka dots on one side and stripes on the other side. So the other side I decided to do with black accents since I did the front with white. So this is the A piece and the B piece. Again, just a flat card base, 5 1/2 by 4 1/4. And I mounted that on here with my sentiment piece inside. And this is your B piece inside. And then for these die cuts, I pulled out an old set, which is the Endless Love dies. So I just thought the little hearts in here would be cute on these cards. So I've got You're on My Mind just because. And then with the C piece, I've got a little thank you card, again with a little mat here. And then a second thank you card with the other C piece, just smaller mat. And then a little sentiment down here with the heart. And then that last D and E piece, this time I used the D piece here and matted it up. And you can see that the E piece is not on this card. So I cheated just a tiny bit and I put the E piece here. So I cut this little die, which is from the Endless Love dies, this little tag die here. I cut that E piece with that die and used it on this card. Okay, so there you go. You don't have to use all the pieces on the cards that I have used them on. You can mix and match them and make your own thing. All right, so we're going to pull out a piece of paper for tonight. Tonight I'm using this paper that I already forgot what the name of it is. Oh, hang on. This is the Flight and Airy 12 by 12 Designer Series paper. This is a retired paper, and this is one of the reasons I started this Onesheetwonder, was so that I could use up some of my old paper, because I have a lot of it sitting here in my craft room, and I want to use it up. So this is the page we're going to use tonight with all these little birds, and the flip side is this bubble bath and fresh freesia, kind of like a wash, watercolor wash on the back side. Okay, so tonight we're going to use this side to make some cards, and then off camera I will make cards with the B side and I'll post them on my page. But I've got two pieces pulled out here just for me to show you that when you are going to be doing one of these Onesheetwonders, you do want to think about the pattern that you're using. And I do like to pick something that's going to coordinate, so that if you do want to use a little strip from the template and you want to flip it over, it's going to match or coordinate with whatever your print is. But also, I think that prints that are a little bit busier work better than prints that have a bigger pattern like this. And let me show you why. So, for instance, this template, we're going to cut it at 5 1/4. So down this side, you're going to cut it at 5 1/4. So I'm going to show you with my ruler. Here's 5 1/4. We come to right here. No, I'm wrong. That's 5 1/2. Here's 5 1/4. All right, so that's going to come to here. So this is the panel that you're going to get for the front of your first card. And you can see it's got a good pattern in there. Okay, so then the second piece is going to be a 3 by 3. So that's going to be 8 1/4. So that's going to be right down to here. Grab another piece of paper. Right down to here. So the scene that you're going to get for that second piece is going to be right in here. So you can see you do have some little birds in here. So you're going to get two good panels for your other cards. And then the last piece is going to be this panel down here. And it's going to go landscape. So you can see, again, you're going to get a nice pattern on that piece as well. Okay, so that's why I picked this pattern that was a little busier. If you use a pattern that's not quite so busy, then you run the risk of not having good pieces for your cards. So for 5 1/4, let's see, 5 1/4 is going to go down to here. That's going to be okay because you've got a couple of birds here. So I think you're going to end up with a lot of flowers. This bird may end up on the second piece. No, I think, I'm not sure. But yeah, I think half of him would end up on this panel and then half on the next panel. Then when you go to the next 3 by 3, you're just going to get half of this little bird, and then that's going to cut off right about here. So really on this panel, you're just going to get flowers and half of a bird. So you really want to think about what your panels are going to look like with the paper that you're choosing. So just think that out when you're choosing a pattern, okay? All right, so I'm going to set this one aside. We're not using that one. We're using this one. Okay, hopefully I explained that well. Anyway, all right, what we're going to do is we're going to first cut at 5 1/4. We're going to cut across tonight, okay, instead of up and down. So we're going to first we're going to cut our paper in half. So we've got a 12 by 12. We're going to cut it down to, hi, Joan. We're going to cut this down to 6 inches. And we're going to sit this half aside. We'll be making our other set of cards with the other side. And I'm going to do that off camera. Those will then be on my Facebook page. So I'm going to set that aside. This is the piece we're going to work with tonight. So you can see I'm going to cut across. So I'm going to turn my paper, and my first cut is going to be at 5 1/4 straight across. So we're going to line this up at 5 1/4 and cut. And I'm going to put that aside. My next cut is going to be at 3 inches. So we'll put this at 3 inches and cut. That will be our second panel. And then our last one should be 3 3/4. Okay, that's this one. All right, I'm going to go back up to the top panel. Now that we've got it cut at 5 1/4, we're going to cut it over 4 3/4 inches. So we're going to move this to 4 3/4. And that's going to give us our A piece. And then we'll have our B piece. Our A piece, this dotted line here, this is scoring. So we're going to score that. And I didn't put a measurement. I'm so sorry. I just noticed that. The scoring is at 3/4 inch. Okay, I'll have to modify that for you guys. All right, so we're going to go to 3/4 inch. Move our cutting blade out of the way. We're going to just score that a bit. Be careful because it's designer series paper. You don't want to rip it. And then you're just going to fold that back. And that's going to be the A piece that you're using on your card. And then you've got your B piece here. Then your middle panel, this 3 by 6, we're going to cut this in half, and this is going to be 3 by 3. And you can see I've got 2 good panels with a lot of birds on there. And then this last piece, we're going to cut this at 5 inches. And that's going to leave me this little 1 inch piece. Okay, so those are the pieces that we will be working with. So tonight I brought some card bases in Misty Moonlight because this paper actually has boho blue in it, I think, and I have used all my boho blue. Since that's a retired color, I don't have any more of that. But the Misty Moonlight is going to work, I think. So we're going to set these other pieces aside, and we're going to start with our A and B piece. Okay. So for your A and B piece, you're going to, what I used was a card base that is 5.5 by 4.25. And then I've got an insert that is, this is actually 3 7/8. So this is 5.25 by 3 7/8. And I'll tell you why when we glue it together. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to mount this piece. This is the folded edge that I did there with that score line. I'm going to mount this. I'm better when I do things horizontally. So I'm going to mount this like this, right? I'm going to center this up with this piece folded under. So I'm just going to put glue on this flap. I don't want to glue the whole thing down, just the flap. And just get that centered. Oh, it's over a little too far. There we go. That's centered up. So that should then open like this. And then we're going to put our little panel in here. Now, if you've cut it 5.25 by 4, it's going to hang out a little bit when you close this. So you really want this to be 5.25 by 3 7/8 is what you want this panel, so that it doesn't show. Okay, so we're just, and you can stamp this, stamp a sentiment inside if you'd like. And then we're just going to mount that right in over that little panel and right into that fold there, right to the right of the score line. Okay, so it should go like that. And then I took this piece and I flipped it over. You can do it so that it matches what's showing inside, or you can do it this way, whichever way. Well, maybe I'll put the birds in there tonight. That's very pretty. Let's put the birds in there. But you have that option to use the front side or to flip it over. Hi, Maria. Hope you're well. Okay. Whoops. All right, we just want to put that right to the edge there. So you'll get the front with all the birds, and then you get your little panel inside with some birds. Super cute. All right, so then I brought some sentiments from that same set. I'm using the Fabulous Things, which is the January product of the month. I think that was the very first one, right? So I brought some pieces that I also cut from the, I forgot already, Endless Love dies. So I cut some little hearts, and I've got some little shapes. This is the Modern Oval die. I've got some little tags, and I've got some little open hearts, and I have some little birds, and I have some little other little panels. Okay, but these might be too much on the front, so maybe I'll save those for when I do the other side. Okay, so we've got some little panels, and we also have some white. So I think I'm going to make myself a white oval. For this card, and then we've got some sentiments. I've got a thank you. Let's do a thank you. I think that fits perfectly. All right, and we're going to just do some Misty Moonlight. And get that stamped. Oops, I smooched it just a smidge. Right there. All right, get some, what am I looking for? Dimensionals. some dimensionals. And I'm not going to worry about that tiny little smudge on the front. I don't know if you guys saw it right here. Just a tiny smidge. I'm just going to either try to erase it or I'm just going to put a bling right there where the bling goes. Okay, so we're going to do a little thank you. If I move it this way, maybe I can get a little bird on there. Oh, he's very cute. How about this guy? Okay, so I can put a little bit of glue here and I'll put a dimensional here to make him the same height as my sentiment. Just right on that tummy. And just overlap it like that. Okay, so there's your first card with the A and B piece. Then with your C pieces, those are the 3x3 pieces. I lost them. 1 second. There they are. The 2 C pieces. The first one, I've got a mat that is 3 1/4 by 3 1/4 that will perfectly surround our 3x3 piece there. So we'll just get that matted. And you just want to center that up to get a border all the way around. Hi, Margaret. Thanks for joining us. Okay. So then you just need to decide how you want your card to go. Do you want it to go portrait? You could also go landscape if you'd like. I'm going to stick with portrait tonight, but I think I have some landscape ones to show you. Okay, so we're going to just add this here. And then we'll decide. So my other paper just had a pattern. It didn't really have, it didn't have any birds or flowers or anything. It just had dots. So the putting a heart or something in the middle worked really well because it gave you something to look at there. But this one's got a little bit more to look at. So if we're going to put a heart on here, we're going to have to do it like to the side or to the bottom. No, that doesn't work. We could do this one, and we could get a little banner in here. Let's see. So I did bring this one that says friend to a fabulous friend, but I think that this friend part is, oh, I just got my fingers in the ink, is going to fit on here perfectly. And I'm going to put it toward the right end there. So that it can go under my heart. Well, maybe down a little ways like that. How's that? Okay, so I'm going to glue this down. And straight, hopefully. And then we'll pop this little heart up so it has a little bit more dimension. So I always plan the paper and the mats and things that I'm going to use for this, but I never really plan out what the cards are going to look like until I start putting them together. There we go. So that's number 2. Oh, we're going to put our white piece inside. And again, you can stamp a sentiment to go inside if you'd like. There we go. And that's one with your C piece. And your second C piece, I just made a larger mat. So this is 3 1/4 by 4 1/4. So it's the same width, but it's giving us a little bit more room at the bottom. And we could stamp a sentiment right here along the bottom. So what did I bring? Will it fit? Don't know it's going to fit. It's going to be too big. So I've got, again, To a Fabulous Friend that just fits. Do we like that? Let's see what else we have. Hang on, going back to the drawing board. We've got, I think You've Been on My Mind is a little bit smaller. You're on My Mind. I'm not sure that's even going to fit either. Well, I think it might just fit. Should we try it? Let's try it. Hard to tell while it's in the package. No, it's going to hang off a bit. It's going to hang off. Hang on, going back. We're going to do, You Can Do Anything. Which is a really nice, encouraging card. I have someone I could send that right to. All right, I think that'll work. So I'm going to stamp it first, actually, before I glue this paper on. Let me get a block here. And we'll do the blue again. Because, if I glue the paper on, I'm going to glue it on too far down, and then I won't have enough room, because that's what would happen. All right, I'm going to get this as close as we can there. And then we're going to add our paper. Okay. There we go. All right, so that again can go on the front here. There we go. Okay. That's pretty. So yeah, we can definitely add some bling. We can add a little heart. I hate to cover up the birds. They're so cute. No, I'm going to leave it plain, just like that. I like it. All right, so there we go. That's the second C piece. Now your D piece, D and E piece, here is the 5" by 3 3/4, and this is going to have to go landscape because of my pattern. So we're going to just mat that up, and this mat should be 4 by 5 1/4. So this will be a full card front. There we go. Oh, I forgot the inside of my last card. I'm so bad at that. Do you do that? When I'm making a bunch of cards, I will sometimes forget to put the sentiment piece inside, and then I file them away. And when I go to send them, it doesn't have the piece inside. And I'm like, I have to stop and cut a piece. And I don't know why I do that to myself. Okay, there we go. So that's going right on the front there. I'm going to put the sentiment piece in right now, so I don't forget this time. It's just not the fun part. We like to just decorate the front. We don't want to. I guess if I decorated the insides all the time, then maybe I would remember. There we go. Okay, so that's the front. So now we've got this little piece that when I was going this way, it was cute as a little band across the middle, but not so much when I'm going landscape. So what do we do with this little piece? So there's a couple things we can do. I was thinking that I could make this into a banner and just do the sentiment right here. So we can cut a little banner end just using our snips right in the middle. Just go up a little ways, and then you're going to cut from the edge, this point, this tip right here, up to where your cut, the end of your cut was, like that. And then you'll do the same on the other side. And that will make you a little banner. You could put it this way, chop it off a little bit, put it down this way, put a sentiment here, or you could go this way and put a sentiment this way. That's kind of pretty. Let's see. Well, where did my other sentiment go? My happy birthday. I lost it. Oh, there it is. It's clear, so it got lost. Now I think it's still too long. That's a very long happy birthday. All right, so what if we use this one? Nope, too big as well. So we're going back to a fabulous friend. To a fabulous friend. And we're going to do the full sentiment this time. And we can get that right on the front there. Cute. Now, if I move it out a bit, I could get another bird on here. There, that'll work. Cute. Okay, so this time I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue the little bird on first. I'm going to put some glue just right on the part that's overlapping and hopefully straight. Then I'm going to use dimensionals on the full thing, if I can find them. There we go. So we'll get some on the bird. And then also you can put one right where those two pieces meet, and that will give you a little bit more sturdiness there where those two pieces meet. Okay. It helps hold them together. And let's get this on right there. There we go. So that is the D and E pieces together. Okay. All right, so let's move all this extra stuff out of the way. bring back our cards. So this was A and B piece. This was the C piece that we forgot to put the inside in. C piece. And then your second C piece. And then your D and E piece. Okay, there you go. And what I love about a Onesheetwonder is that I have no paper left over when I'm done. That's what I want. I want to use this paper up. It's just sitting there and I paid for it, so I have to use it up. All right, so those are the cards from tonight. And as I said, this is the other side of that paper. So tonight, when I hang up with you guys, I will create the other half cards, and I'll put those up on my Crafty Kraken page. Okay, and then I've got one other set for you that I did with this paper, which is called Bloom Impressions. So I did this, I think I used the same, I used the same stamp set, Fabulous Sayings, for the sentiments. So this one, I did my A piece horizontal. And then on the other side is this beautiful sky. And I just did a simple hello there. And then my C piece with a Coastal Cabana. This is Flirty Flamingo and Coastal Cabana. Little hello. My second C piece, this time I mounted this on that longer mat, but I turned it horizontal and I put some ribbon and then used my happy birthday across this way. So this is a horizontal card, landscape card. And then for the D and E piece, I did your the piece. I didn't use a mat this time, just put it right onto the card base. And then I put the little E piece inside on my sentiment piece. So that's another use for that little piece if you'd like. And then the other side of that, that beautiful azure afternoon sky looking piece, this was the A and B piece. This time I made the B piece on the front. I made it a little banner. And then I just fussy cut some flowers to go inside there for that A piece. So that one was portrait. And then this C piece, I flipped that mat around. Instead of having the sentiment at the bottom, I put it at the top and added a little fussy cut piece there for that card. And then this one has that 3 by 3 1/4 by 3 1/4 mat. And because this is plain, I put one of the hearts in the middle. Okay. And then this last one, this was the D and E piece. I used the E piece across, and I used, instead of the flip side, I used the same color, same side, and then added that little heart to that. Okay, so those are some of the cards. I'll put those all up on the Crafty Kraken page so you can see them and you can get some inspiration and hopefully try this Onesheetwonder with some of your paper. I know you have some retired paper, and you can even use new paper. Of course, you can use newspaper. Okay. All right, let me get the camera out of here. There. Oh, okay. That's it for me tonight. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys will download the template. As I said, it's on the Crafty Kraken page. At the top, there's a little files section, and you can find the templates there. You can also find the PDF with all the cards, and it's got all the card base measurements and the mat measurements on it as well. Okay, I look forward to seeing if you guys make this. I look forward to seeing some of your cards. put them up on the Crafty Kraken page. That's where we can share things that we make, and I look forward to seeing them. All right, so that's it for me tonight, you guys. Thanks so much for watching. Stay crafty, my friends, and I will see you on Friday. Bye-bye.